capítulo de Mirá a quién encontré, primera temporada, estamos ya casi pisando el final de esta primera entrega, quédense tranquilos, van a venir muchas más, pero es momento de hablar del programa del día de hoy. Me encanta ponerme a buscar gente que actuó de muy chiquitita y que por ahí un poco le perdimos el rastro, sobre todo en la Argentina. Fíjate, mirá a quién encontré.
I had a lot of fun with it, and I think because I was a kid, my family never got us like media coaching. We didn't have someone there telling me what I should say. Here's what you should do. So a lot of the times when we were interviewing and things like that, they would come to our house, and our house would be exactly like it was. I mean, just like you and I are talking now. They would come in, and there would be pets everywhere and family everywhere, and they would sit me down in my room and ask me questions, and it never came off like work or too stuffy, and we really had a lot of fun with it, which is why I'm still interested.
It's okay. Come here, baby. Come here. It's okay. It's okay.
You know, prior to that audition, I had no involvement in the industry in any way. I was a very normal, like, first grader.
What do you remember of your audition?
My aunts had heard about an open casting call on the radio. We were living here in Michigan, and we took my whole family. Much to the protest of my mom, she had things to do that day, and she really didn't want to go. But she ended up going. We took my whole family, all my cousins, my sister, and everybody, and it was like an open casting call. We were actually getting ready to leave when we had some assistant of Mally Finn come out, and she, said to my mom, "Can we do a screen test on her?" And they had just seen me out of a crowd, I guess. And my mom said, "Well, I don't know what that is, but I guess." And she followed me in. She was very protective at that point. And they basically just sat me down like we are now, and they would ask me, like, tell me about a time that you were sad. Tell me, show me this emotion. And we did that, and I was a kid, so for me it was fun. It was a game. And we got a phone call later that week that they wanted me to come back in, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So it was a total fluke. It happened purely by chance. He actually invited my mother and I to come to his house, and this is before we had formally accepted any kind of offer. And he invited us over to have tacos. And he was still living in Michigan. I came over, again, I'm 6 years old, so I didn't know what his music was. I was not, actively listening to rap music at 6 years old. But he had really blown up, and he was such a huge name, so my family was very excited. But we went there, and he fed us very well, and I was just very excited. I got to play with his daughter, and so that was a lot of fun. They had an arcade room, and so we spent most of our time running all through the house and being crazy with her and her cousins. So it was a very good time. But getting to know him, he was always, having a child on his own, he was always protective and wanted to make sure that we were taken care of on set, and that it was a good experience for us.
How did your family take that work that you had?
My sister was 16. We're 10 years apart. So she really got to have a lot of fun with this. 16 years old is like prime age for being an Eminem fan, and her friends were going crazy that I was in this movie. So they were very excited, and she was very excited. And yeah, my mom was a substitute. So she would go to different high schools and be subbing, and the kids would just lose their mind if they found out about it, and ask a whole bunch of questions. It was really interesting. I mean, they were on set all the time because I was there, and obviously as a minor you have to have parents with you. Plus, I'm sure it was very, very cool for them to be in this crazy production since it was so foreign to us. But my mom played a cop. There's a scene, and she's not even visible. You can't see her. But there's a scene where they're driving down the street and they're like shooting paintballs out at different cars and stuff. And there's a donut shop, and they hit a cop car, and then they're running from the cops. And she was dressed as a cop. She's in the donut shop, so you don't even see her. And then my dad is in the background of some scene on one of the buses where Eminem's writing some lyrics. He's just in the background. So I think it was a lot of fun for them. I had no idea until months and months later when we had like heard about it and talked about it in interviews.
So when I feel blue, don't know what to do, I look at you and I just say.
The Lullaby scene showed a really strong bonding between you and Eminem. What do you remember of doing that scene?
We had been shooting all day, and it was late at night, and it was one of those last things that we had to do. But obviously, it turned out to be very important. And at that point, we had been shooting together for months, and so there was a lot of comfort, and just being familiar there. And I think that was something that was always really, really nice and really interesting, was just how familiar everything was. I mean, we were in our hometown. We knew Detroit, and we know like where he grew up. So we're pretty similar in terms of that already. And he was always such like a very like big brother, fatherly figure as it was. So we would film these scenes that were so intimate and so cute and sensitive, and then be cracking up and everyone's messing around 5 minutes later. Having such a great team that had charisma together, and just a good working environment, it made it very easy for me. The funny thing about shooting this scene was that we didn't shoot it at the same time. So because I was a kid, they didn't really want me to see that, which was funny because I'm supposed to react to this. But we shot my scene afterwards. So we shot the part where I'm running up and being told to go inside, and we shot that part first. The actual part that we shot for myself, where I'm looking out the window, there's nothing happening on the other side. So for me, it was a lot of fun, and it was almost the same thing. We were shooting, and then you cut, and sometimes there's quite a long break between having each take. So I would get into this character and try and be upset, and I recall having this very like goofy way of getting upset by like blowing air out of my nose to try and make my eyes well up. But so I would get upset and be dramatic, and then 5 minutes later, like I said, we'd be cracking up and I'd be being tickled and rolling around on the floor. So my mom during that scene was actually just like right to the right of the windowsill. So they would put up like a face of a building, and then we'd shoot like that. So it was very, very easy for her to just be right there afterwards. And she always made it clear to me, the way to comfort me was to make sure that as soon as we left the set, we left work, that we didn't talk about it, that we didn't make the rest of the day about it. We would go back to living normal and, playing and being relaxing. So it never felt overwhelming. We took a lot of time to ease into it. And a lot of that was from having that advice from people like Eminem and from Kim Basinger also, who has kids of her own. So she knew exactly what to do in this situation. And so luckily for me, we would have fun. It would be like a daily thing. And then we'd go home and it was over. So I had a break every day. They always kept it very light for me as a kid, which is great, which I think was very important for me having so much passion for acting now. Because it never felt like work.
Llegamos al final de la charla con Chloe Greenfield, espero que les haya gustado. Fíjense todo lo que creció esta chica, que hoy tiene poco más de 20 años, que está volviendo al ruedo de la actuación. Quizás la volvamos a ver en algunos papeles pronto, en películas que lleguen acá. Si no te quedaste con ganas de escuchar a Eminem después de esta nota, no sé, no tenés corazón. Comenta abajo, compartí, difundí, mostrá. Nosotros nos vemos la semana que viene.
I was friends with his daughter for years afterwards, and we would see each other occasionally. And he's been very kind to, give me concert tickets or always been available to me. So I'm very grateful for that.